Welcome to Make a Path Presents. My name is Ronnie Hayes, and today we're going to talk about how the premiere episode of The Walking Dead Season 6 starts. Alright, Deadheads, I was taking a look at this trailer, and I think it shows us a clear idea of what's going to happen in the beginning episode of Season 1. Now, if they play around with time, that's kind of going to mess with our predictions a little bit, but as you look through the video or the images of the trailer, you'll see certain cues like Abraham laying down Reg and Pete's body. You have Deanna sitting in a puddle of blood. Rick apparently, or I assume, is talking to Morgan for the first time because he's in the blood. Everyone's in their outfits of the ending of Season 5. You know, Pete's blood, no, the Walker's blood, I should say. He's in that whole get-up, you know? But another thing that jumped out at me is Deanna. It appears like she's stomping, stabbing, or hitting a walker with a bottle. And it's at nighttime in Alexandria, and that image I could not piece together until I thought, what if that's actually taken place that very night? As if she, came out of the puddle of blood, she ran into a walker. Maybe there's walkers roaming around because we do see images of Alexandrians with knives. We see Jesse with a knife. We see Aaron with a knife. Michonne spooks him. Well, maybe I'm going too fast. Tell you what, let's look at some images and we'll break it down for you. Now, this isn't counting any flash forwards or any playing with time that they're talking about. The opening scene could be any of the following three, the first three I talk about. Number one being Abraham relocating the bodies of Pete and Reggie to the graveyard in Alexandria. The second opening could be Daryl with Morgan and Rick. Now, this is the most anticipated character conversation, and I'm so glad there's no time skip. I think that's a refreshing choice. I'm thrilled, and I'm sure you guys are as well. And the third thing, and again, these three could be mixed around for the very first opening shot, and I believe that they're going to bounce back and forth, and they're kind of all happening at the same time. Third one could be the crowd left, everyone went home, and Deanna is sitting there in her husband's blood. Now, she's sitting there in shock because once she gets up, it becomes real. She's going to go home where her husband should be, but he's not because unfortunately he was killed by Pete. Now, we do see that Father Gabriel comes, and there could be friction here. I don't think there's going to be friction because I do think there was some healing there at the end of Season 5 with Maggie and Sasha. And I think that Father Gabriel from now on is going to be on a slow track to redeeming his character. Now, finally, Deanna at some point is going to stand up and go home. This is an image in the trailer I did not understand at first, but after a while it clicked. She gets up, goes home, and on the way, I believe she runs into a walker and she loses her shit. She lets all the rage, anger, all those emotions that were welling up inside her while she was sitting in her husband's blood. She lets all those out and she beats the walker's head in with a garden gnome. Or I don't know, something, because it looks like a bottle. It looks like a liquor bottle, to be honest. That can't be a knife. Look at that thing. Now, this is actually important because this is what gave me the idea for what's to come. Now, more walkers are most likely inside Alexandria, and again, that is an important point, and it also explains the blood on Pete's sword before he kills Reg. I thought that was an editing mistake. People said it was Carl or Judith, but they were actually in Maggie's house when Pete went to Rick's house looking for him because we could see Carl and Judith playing with Maggie's music box that he gave her. See how that was all connected? Now remember, that night, walkers got in, and I do believe there's some walkers, or they believe there's some more walkers lurking about, and that's important because after this, we go to the next day. We see them digging up the graves to bury Pete and Reg. Morgan could be looking for walkers in this image. We see Jessie on the porch, and she's saying something I didn't even understand in the trailer. It didn't make any sense. But once I noticed that Jessie's actually holding a knife or a prison shank. She's holding either one. Finally, her speech makes some sense, and the people could be there asking where she stands because she just lost her husband to this new vice president, so to speak, of Alexandria. And she uses Rick's line, "If you don't fight, you die." And I love that. Now, also we see Aaron. Now, he has a knife too, and Michonne spooks him. That makes sense because if more walkers, or if they do believe that more walkers got in, some of them are off looking, and regular residents in Alexandria Alexandria are armed. Now take that thought and the events of the previous night, and I believe they call a meeting. And at this meeting, they call everybody in Alexandria. Now that would explain Heath. If Heath is going to be the way they described him in the casting, that makes sense that he wouldn't want to poke his head out and investigate the new people that arrived in Alexandria. Now from this meeting, they could come up with ideas on how to handle things better. And after the meeting, I believe we get a meeting of the minds, so to speak, where Morgan and Daryl tell Rick and Deanna about the wolves. Now we even see Rick's blue shirt in this image. This blue shirt where he's talking to Daryl, we see it right there. Now it seems like Rick is saying something like, "We're gonna stop the wolves, Morgan, you understand this?" And Morgan is actually saying, "I know, Rick." Like he's agreeing with them. Not like he's telling strangers, "I know, Rick, we have to stop him." I believe he's actually telling Rick, "Rick, I understand. I know, Rick, we have to stop him." Now the trick here is Morgan is wearing very similar clothing throughout the trailer, but the clothing here where he's talking to them and where he's in the meeting group, it's the same outfit. He has this very light green tinted button down and he's got a white undershirt. You could tell it's hard to notice, but it matches the funeral where he's walking in with Rick. Maybe Rick is explaining things a little better to him about Alexandria. That makes sense too, because we hear that in the voiceover in the trailer. That could be him talking to Morgan, and then we see Morgan looking around for the bodies. So Morgan has that same clothing on, but it's different clothing when we see him go and confront the wolves, or at least I believe he's confronting the wolves. Then he has a tan shirt on and a darker undershirt. It looks like a tan undershirt. It's a completely different outfit. I believe that is actually different days and everything. Now I do believe all of this will be the first 20 to 30 minutes of the season 6 premiere of The Walking Dead, which brings me to my final and very important point to leave you guys with, the 90-minute premiere. Now if you guys remember for the season 5 finale, I said it would not be packed with the No Way Out story arc. A lot of people jumped to that assumption because of the 90-minute time slot, but I believe that the extra time was just to let those scenes breathe a little bit. Well, this is the same advice I'm going to give to you now. I want you to have a realistic expectation about the premiere. We will not be diving right into the wolves battle or the No Way Out just because it's an extra 30 minutes. That extra time is actually to let the scenes breathe a little bit so everything doesn't feel so choppy and rushed. Also, I want to warn you guys, it's a 90-minute time slot. That includes commercials. Hundreds of people commented last time calling them liars and cheaters. I even saw comments where people wanted to sue because it wasn't 90 minutes. Like, what? Since I was an itty bitty baby, and even before I was a baby, this is the standard. They call them time slots. The Walking Dead is an hour time slot. We usually get about 44 minutes of actual show. The rest is commercials. That's the same for anything else on TV with commercials. It's a time slot. So the premiere will be a 90-minute time slot, which means it's including commercials. So we most likely will get around, let's say, 64-ish minutes of actual show. Sorry if that was redundant for you guys who know, but I just want to make that clear because I got so many comments about that and I just had to get that out there. Alright, Deadheads, I'm going to kick it over to you now. This is a topic I definitely want your opinion on. Do you agree with my setup for the first 20 to 30 minutes of the show? Do you think something different's going to happen? I mean, listen, again, I didn't count any fast forwards or them playing with time. They could start with frickin' Alexandria already knocked down and walkers are walking the streets, and then they flash back and we gotta wait 7 episodes to figure out what happened, because I do believe No Way Out's gonna be a mid-season finale type thing. And no Way Out's not gonna be 1 episode, so it's gonna leave us hanging. But with that said, leave your thoughts, opinions, and predictions down in that comment box. I'm done talking, it's your turn. Subscribe now.